This show is brought to you by the All Pro Nation Radio Network. Be sure to like and subscribe and check us out online at allpronation.com, where fans have a voice.
What is up, everybody? It is that time of the year. We are just one day away from the NFL draft. And I know one guy who's super excited. He is our draft guru at All Pro Nation, and he is Mr. Tanner Weber. Tanner, how you doing, man?
Oh, you just made me feel really important.
the
I'm good, bro. You ready for the draft?
I'm ready, bro. I'm so ready. I cannot freaking wait. Just let everybody know a little bit about the show tonight. We got an awesome show freaking planned for you guys. We did our interactive mock draft again this Sunday, our final one, interactive mock draft 3.0. We're going to be bringing those results to you along with me and Tanner's final mock drafts going into the draft. We have the Godfather of All Pro Nation going to be joining us here in a little bit to kind of spit some of his knowledge. Nick Davaine, for those of you who have been longtime listeners of the podcast and will remember Nick, he's going to be joining us. We have Deuce Wyndham from Canal Street Chronicles, the draft guru over there, so he's going to be spitting some knowledge. We had a fan call in, and so we got a lot of good stuff, man. It's going to be a fun show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm pretty pumped about it. Draft is this week, man. So y'all get ready. We've had a lot of cool guests since the Super Bowl, breaking down the draft. We had JR on. We had Bradley on last week. We had what was the guys from New York? We had him on. Man, we've just had a lot
Ryan Dunleavy.
Yeah, Ryan Dunleavy. Yeah, we've had a lot of good draft people on
Zach
this
Goodall.
podcast. What's that?
Zach Goodall.
Oh, yeah, we had Zach Goodall right at the end of the season, part of the Locked On Jaguars team. So we've been able to bring a lot of good draft content. Don't forget, if you didn't catch the State of the NFL series, we talked a lot of draft in those series where we talked with the Locked On Rams guys. We talked with the Steel City Underground. We talked with the Sports Greek. So, man, there's plenty of draft content on the All Pro Nation radio network. Go back, go listen to it. Get yourself mentally ready because this Thursday, it is freaking happening.
It's chaos.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. So let's dive right on in to the mock draft. So we're gonna do it just how we always do. We're gonna start with Tanner. We're gonna go with me, and then we're gonna reveal what the fans said. So with the first pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns are gonna start us off. And Tanner, who are you taking for the Cleveland Browns?
Monday morning, yesterday, Dan Patrick, the big announcer guy, came on the show. And he said that the Browns were choosing between Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, and that Sam Darnold was no longer in the conversation. I personally think that's smoke. It's a smoke screen, and I still think Sam Darnold's going to be the pick, regardless of what he said. So I'm going with Darnold.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Darnold too. And who did the fans pick?
Fans also went with Sam Darnold in a landslide.
So Sam Darnold. So there we go. So everybody's pretty much on board. All right, so moving into the second pick, the New York Giants. Who are you going with, Tanner?
This isn't what I think should happen, but I think it's what's going to happen. This isn't going to change. Saquon Barkley, the running back out of Penn State, they seem pretty set in having Eli Manning be the man, so might as well surround him with as many weapons as they can.
Yeah. I agree. I'm going with Saquon Barkley, and here's and a little twist to it. Dave Gettleman's been all about Saquon Barkley, right? I mean, he's just been gushing over him. He did the same thing last year with Christian McCaffrey when he was the general manager for the Panthers. He showed his hand there, and that's who he ended up picking. He's showing his hand again this year, so I really think Barkley is going to be the pick. Who did the fans go with?
The fans also went with Saquon Barkley, and for what it's worth, Gettleman did come out today and say that he is no longer fielding trade offers for the second pick.
Yeah.
So they're staying put.
All right, so now we're going to move into the third pick. The New York Jets are on the clock, and who are we going with, Tanner?
I'm going with Broadway Baker. Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of Oklahoma. It's a good fit in their system. He can sit for a year or learn the offense behind Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah. All right, so I'm kind of. I've had Baker Mayfield going here all off season, but I'm changing it, and I'm going with the quarterback out of UCLA and Josh Rosen. There just seems to be too much buzz about Baker Mayfield. Too much out there. I wonder if the Jets, again, maybe a smokescreen, maybe throwing all that out there, hoping that Rosen falls to him because they don't want the Browns or the Giants to pick him. They want Rosen there, so that I'm going with Josh Rosen.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's 1A, 1B.
Yeah, and who did the fans pick?
Fans went with Baker as well, Baker Mayfield.
Okay. All right, so then moving into the fourth pick, the Cleveland Browns are back. They got here from the trade last year with the Houston Texans. Who are you going with?
So if the Browns do take a quarterback at number 1, I think they have to go defense with their second pick. And Bradley Chubb's the best defender in the draft. He's the highest graded player on most people's big boards for defenders anyways. Yeah. And I just think that'd be a really good tandem with him and Myles Garrett. Rest in peace to opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Bradley Chubb here. If for some reason the Giants don't go Barkley and the Jets don't go quarterback, which they're going quarterback, but if for some reason one of them takes Chubb, I could actually see the Browns maybe trading out of this spot and get some more draft capital. But if Bradley Chubb's there, I mean, he's hands down the best defender. Put him next to Myles Garrett, you're right. That's just going to be scary on both ends of the defensive line. So I'm going Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, it's a great foundation.
Yeah, and who did the fans pick?
The Browns also went with Bradley Chubb. It kind of seems like 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been set well in place for the past 2 weeks or so. It seems like nobody's really been moving many pieces around. I guess if you were to move a piece around, I mean, you took a different quarterback at number 3 instead of Baker Mayfield, so that doesn't surprise me at all. But Darnold, Barkley, either Rosen or Mayfield, and then Chubb at 4. And then it seems like number 5, where the Broncos pick, is kind of when the draft has been starting.
Yeah.
Mock drafts.
Yep, so that'll bring us right on into pick number 5, the Denver Broncos. Who are you taking?
I got a trade.
Oh.
Yeah, John Elway came out last week and said he is officially shopping the 5th pick. I think he's going to want to try to move back and acquire some more picks because I think Denver has a lot more needs than people realize after some of the moves that they made so far this offseason. And I actually have the Buffalo Bills trading up here to select quarterback Josh Rosen, UCLA.
Okay.
If A.J. McCarron turns out to be a complete bust, then, I mean, Josh Rosen's probably the most pro-ready quarterback right now in the class, so he could step in right away and play.
Yeah. Okay. I also have a trade here, and
Nice.
I don't think it's a surprise. I think Denver's pretty much put it out there that this pick is for sale. I'm actually taking the Miami Dolphins to move up to number 5 and take quarterback Baker Mayfield.
Nice.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz around Baker Mayfield and the Miami Dolphins, so I really like that pick. So I'm taking the Miami Dolphins moving up to Baker Mayfield.
I really wanted. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I mean, I really wanted to move the Dolphins up. I mean, that's another team that I know has been rumored to be trading up. But I feel the Bills have the most draft capital of all the teams that are looking to move up. I know some other teams like the Cardinals are looking to move up, and I know we've heard the Patriots are even interested in Lamar Jackson or Josh Rosen. But Buffalo definitely has the most draft capital in place. They can give away 2 first-round picks to move up and get their guy.
Yeah. And so in the interactive mock draft on Twitter, we didn't do any trades. So the Denver Broncos would be picking here in our interactive mock draft.
Mhm.
Who did the fans pick?
Fans pick Josh Rosen out of UCLA.
Okay. All right.
It's a fun pick too. I think he can compete with Case Keenum on day one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. So moving into pick number 6 is the Indianapolis Colts. Who are you taking?
This is another spot where I've heard that the Colts are possibly looking to trade back, and they very well could, but I think they're going to stay put and select linebacker Raquan Smith out of Georgia. His name has been highly coveted,
Yeah.
and that's a good centerpiece and foundation for your defense.
I actually do have a trade here. I have the Indianapolis Colts trading back, and the Buffalo Bills moving up to take quarterback Josh Allen out of Wyoming. I think I'm with you. I think the Bills could be in play at number 5. I think the Dolphins are really going to put in it, are really trying to get Baker Mayfield. So that's going to make the Bills start calling Indianapolis, and I think they move up here to get their quarterback.
So did you get? Do you have 5 QBs in your first 6 picks?
I do. So I have
Nice.
Josh Allen in Buffalo, Baker Mayfield in Miami, Josh Rosen in the Jets, and Sam Darnold at the Browns. So no, I only have 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
4. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you had Chubb and Barkley. That's right. All right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of QBs in the first 6 picks, regardless.
So
that's.
And who did the fans pick for the Indianapolis Colts?
The fan selected guard Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame.
Okay, I like that pick.
I do too.
Yeah. No secret that the Colts really need offensive line help. All right, so with the 7th pick in the draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are you going with?
This is where I have Quentin Nelson going. I got Quentin Nelson to the Bucs. I mean, I've taunted him for a long time, talking about how great he is. He's the 2nd player on my big board. And I just think he's the safest pick in the draft. He can come in day one, and I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler in his first year. He's just really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. And really not to downplay Quentin Nelson, but I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a more glaring need, and that's in their secondary. So I'm picking Florida State defensive back Derwin James.
Yeah, this is actually, for what it's worth, this is the first time since February I actually changed the Bucs pick out. I've had Derwin James for the longest time, but I took him out this time.
Yeah. And who did the fans go with?
The fans went with safety Derwin James, Florida State.
Okay. All right. So with the 8th pick in the draft, we have the Chicago Bears. Who are you going for?
I really do. I really think that if Raquan Smith is still on the board, that the Bears would pick Raquan Smith here. But since he's not, I'm going with the versatile defensive back Minkah Fitzpatrick out of Alabama.
Ooh, okay.
What do you think of the safety tandem of Minkah Fitzpatrick and Adrian Amos?
I think that would be scary, honestly.
Oh, that's a pretty terrifying defense. They were already pretty good last year. You add that and throw Fitzpatrick in there as well.
Yeah.
That's a solid base.
Yeah, so for the Chicago Bears, I'm going with somebody who we've already said is going to be able to go day one, plug and play, protect their quarterback. I'm going Quentin Nelson to the Chicago Bears.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, you don't like that in the NFC North, huh?
No, I'm hoping not Roquan. I'm sorry. I'm hoping Quentin Nelson doesn't make it to 8. But I know, I know we've even talked about it. If you got 4 QBs in your first 6 pick, that's going to push a lot of non-positional QB players down the board.
What's that?
So there's a good chance it could. So, if all these QBs end up going really early, that's going to push a lot of talent down the board. Players like Quentin Nelson could go at 8 when he should be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, and here's my thing. I think Quentin Nelson's hands down the best player in the whole draft. But I don't think. What's that?
Definitely the safest, yeah.
Yeah. So, I feel bad making him slip all the way to number 8, but I think that's just what the quarterback's going to go. I think that's just going to happen. All right. So, who did the fans pick for Chicago?
Based on our interactive mock draft, Bears fans probably won't like this pick too much, but he was selected anyways. Linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Sounds like Bears fans really want Roquan Smith, but Tremaine Edmonds was the pick for the interactive mock draft.
Okay. With the 9th pick in the draft is the San Francisco 49ers.
This is where I have Tremaine Edmonds going. The 49ers don't know what's going to happen with Reuben Foster. I know John Lynch came out yesterday, I think, and said that the 49ers will cut him if the allegations from his case are proven true. So there's a good chance that they could have a giant hole at linebacker. So I think they need to have some security and insurance, and Tremaine Edmonds is the best linebacker on the board.
Yep, I'm also going with the best linebacker on the board, but mine is going to be Roquan Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
for all the same reasons.
It's take your pick. A lot of people are, I mean, it's the flip of a coin, Tremaine Edmonds and Roquan Smith. A lot of people like both.
Yeah. So. Okay, so with the 10th pick in the draft, the Oakland Raiders on the clock.
Before we get to that, the fans picked Roquan Smith as well.
Oh, my bad. Did I not ask? My bad.
I just wanted to throw that out there quick.
My bad.
Just so the fans know their voices were heard.
They were. All Pro Nation where fans have a voice. Go ahead. So number 10, the Oakland Raiders.
This is where I got the first corner off the board, Denzel Ward out of Ohio State. They lost a lot of talent, I think, in their secondary this offseason with Sean Smith being cut. So why not add another Ohio State corner, right?
Yeah.
With Garyon Conley.
Yeah. I'm taking Denzel Ward too.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you copy my mock draft?
No. Did you copy mine?
No. What did the fans go with?
Fans went with Minka Fitzpatrick, the DB.
I like that pick.
I like that pick too. I actually think that could be a highly coveted John Gruden guy because he'll like the versatility. So
yeah. All right. So with the 11th pick in the draft, the Miami Dolphins are here.
This is where I have Josh Allen falling to.
Ooh.
I know I've talked about Dolphins possibly trading up and trying to get a quarterback, but why not just let one fall to you and not lose any picks in the back end as well? So quarterback Josh Allen, he can sit and learn the first year from Ryan Tannehill, who's coming off an ACL injury, and I really like the opportunity you'd have in Miami with QB guru Adam Gase.
Yeah. All right, and what did the fans go? Oh, my bad. I'm a little.
Don't want to skip yourself.
Yeah, skipping myself. This is actually where I had the Miami Dolphins trading up. So I have the Denver Broncos picking here. And I have them picking Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I like that pick too.
Yeah.
I think Dolphins fans would be happy with that as well.
Yep.
I mean, if they don't go quarterback, they obviously have to go defense. So the best player on the board. Yeah.
All right. And
the
who
fans
did the fans
went
have?
with Josh Allen as well.
Okay. So the fans had him slipping that far too. All right. So with the 12th pick in the draft, it is the Buffalo Bills. You actually have the Denver Broncos here.
I do.
Okay. So who are the Broncos picking?
Broncos traded back with the Bills, and I have them selecting a nose tackle, Vita Vea, out of Washington. The best run defender in the draft, and D'Amato Pecco, or however you say his name, I guess. He's going to be 34 this fall, so he's not getting any younger, and I think they need to start looking long-term at that position. And that's a perfect fit in their 3-4 defense, too. He can play nose tackle, so that's my pick there.
Okay. I actually had I had Buffalo trading up here, so this is the Indianapolis Colts pick for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have them going Tremaine Edmonds.
Yep.
So
need a linebacker.
Yeah, I like that.
I had Roquan Smith, so I like that pick.
All right, and who did the fans go with?
All three interactive mock drafts that we did here, the fans took quarterback Lamar Jackson out of Louisville at 12 every single time.
Yeah.
That didn't change at all.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a little early for him.
Yeah, I think it's way too early.
You never know.
But
never know.
All right, so with the 13th pick in the draft are the Washington Redskins. Who are you going with?
I can't believe that he actually might fall this far, and I don't think he should. But safety Derwin James out of Florida State. They traded away Swat Ravens to the Broncos, and I think they're in desperate need of a true leader in that defense. And James is kind of a lot. He's not as versatile as Fitzpatrick. He won't play as high of a level in coverage, but I mean he can still do it. So that's somebody that players will follow in the locker room, and I think he's actually probably pretty comparable to Sean Taylor, who is also a former Redskin.
Yeah. I'm actually picking somebody. I think this may be a little too early for him, but I'm going with it. I'm going with Vita Vea.
Got to go with your gut, man.
Yeah. They need some defensive line help, and so
that's a good scheme fit too.
Yeah, real good scheme fit. So, who did the fans pick?
The fans went with cornerback Denzel Ward out of Ohio State, which is kind of interesting. I feel like they could fill some more needs because Orlando Scandrick and Josh Norman are already there, but Denzel Ward can play the slot as well. So that's a solid secondary if that's the pick.
Yeah. All right. So with the 14th pick, the Green Bay Packers are on the clock.
This is where I have the next best pass rusher coming off the board. Harold Landry out of Boston College. Clay Matthews isn't getting any younger, and his play has dropped off significantly the past 2 years. So they need a replacement, and Harold Landry is the long-term answer.
Well, would you believe me if I told you that I also went with Harold Landry? And I think he's a good fit for Mike Pettine's defense.
The name that if you like go on Twitter and search like Packers mock draft or something, the name that'll pop up the most often is probably Marcus Davenport. But it sounds like, from what I've read, that they're really high on Landry too. So if he passes all the medicals.
Yeah. And who did the fans go with?
The fans also went with Harold Landry. All three of us.
All right. Well, that must mean it must be happening.
Well, we actually had some good interaction from the Packers fans.
We did. Really, thank you.
That was actually one of our better.
Yeah.
That was one of our better polls. I think we had over 200 some votes on that, so that was fun.
All right. So with the 15th pick in the draft, the Arizona Cardinals are up. Who you going with?
This is a really tough spot, and I could actually see the Cardinals trading back, possibly just because they have so many different needs throughout their defense and offensive line too. But this might be a bit of a reach, but I think you have to pull the trigger on it because of all the quarterbacks that have come off the board already. I'm going with Lamar Jackson, quarterback out of Louisville. We've talked about it week after week. Sam Bradford, his legs are made of glass. He's not going to survive the entire season. We already know that. As soon as he gets hit a few times, he'll be laying on his back. And I think you need to have some insurance. And the fun thing about Lamar Jackson is he can actually avoid pressure and try to not get hurt, do the opposite of Sam Bradford. So I like that pick for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and with that offensive line, you're going to need somebody who can kind of move around. Yeah, I'm going to break my own heart here. And I'm going Lamar Jackson. I really want him to slip, but I don't think he's slipping to 27.
I like it.
So I'm going Lamar Jackson. All right, and who did the fans pick?
Fans took the first wideout off the board, Calvin Ridley out of Alabama, to go across from Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay, I like that. I like that pick too.
I do too.
I just think they have to go quarterback, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so with the 16th pick, the Baltimore Ravens are up. Who you going?
Oh, this is another team that there's been a lot of teams. Now that we're getting closer to the draft, teams are talking about trading back. But this is another team I've heard that is possibly could be trading back. But if they don't, why not get another tackle and protect Joe Flacco, who's been suffering through a lot of injuries the past few years? I'm going to tackle Mike McGlinchey out of Notre Dame.
God dang I swear you read my mock draft.
No way.
I'm going Mike McGlinchey.
For those that are listening, me and Chris are like, I don't know, 600 miles away from each other. No, farther than that. It's probably like a 1,600.
No, it ain't the 1,600.
Well, that's pretty far.
We're in the same time zone.
Yeah, but you're like 4 or 5 states south of me.
Oh, that's true. That's true. All right, and please tell me, who did the fans go with? Don't say Mike McGlinchey.
No, they didn't. The fans went back-to-back wideouts. Wide receiver DJ Moore is staying.
It's a little early, huh?
I mean, I think it's kind of early. I like DJ Moore, but it seems like kind of early to me. But all this draft speculation, you never know what's going to happen. That's a name that could pop up.
Yeah.
A second-round guy that might go in the first round. So.
Okay. So with the 17th pick, the LA Chargers are on the clock. Who are you going with?
I would like to go Vita Vea here, but he's already off the board. So it's probably a toss-up between Leighton Vander Esch and Rashawn Evans, and I'm going with Leighton Vander Esch because I think he has more upside, and I think he's a better fit in the Chargers defense. Not San Diego, Los Angeles. Their linebacking core is crap right now. Yeah. They're in massive need of upgrades.
Yeah. All right, Sen. Who did the fans pick?
You gonna skip yourself again or what?
Yeah, just because I picked the same player. So.
What is that? 3 or 4 in a row?
Let's see. We both went with McGlinchey. We both went with Jackson. We both went with Harold Landry. I took Vita Vea at 13, so that's kind of where we. That's where we.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this will be 4.
Okay. Yeah, the fans went with defensive tackle Vita Vea out of Washington, and I think that's a good spot for him too. A lot of people think that going anywhere above 12 might be a little early for him because he's more of a 2-down player. He doesn't have a lot of pass rush value. So I think the middle of the first round there, starting with San Diego here, is a good spot for him.
All right. So with the 18th pick in the draft, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock.
I'm gonna let you do this one first.
We didn't pick the same person.
You're not going corner, are you?
Well, of course I'm going corner. That's where they need the most help. But we definitely didn't pick the same corner.
Oh, you probably went with Mike Hughes.
Go ahead, pick. Go ahead, pick.
I went with a corner. Richard Sherman replacement, Josh Jackson out of Iowa. I know I've talked about it on Twitter a few times. This is a good spot for Josh Jackson. If he doesn't go to Seattle here, I could see him drop quite a bit, maybe even to the second round, just because I think teams have a concern about a scheme fit. And he's playing in the same – if he goes to Seattle, he'd be playing in the same defensive scheme as he did in Iowa, which is zone coverage. So that's a good fit and a good player for Seattle.
God dang it. I should have gone first. Yeah, I picked Josh Jackson too. Look, everybody knows I've talked up Mike Hughes, and he is my absolute favorite. I like him better than I like Denzel Ward. But I'm also when I'm doing this mock draft, I'm putting myself in where I think some of these teams may be trying to think. I think Josh Jackson kind of fits the bill of what Seattle. Seattle likes those real tall, lanky corners, right? And that's what Josh Jackson is. He's kind of like a ball hawk. So I think he fits the bill there. I think Denzel Ward is the consensus #1 corner. That's why I had him going earlier to Oakland. But in my personal opinion, I still think Mike Hughes is the best cornerback. I just don't think that he's going to go this high in the draft. So I'm going Josh Jackson to Seattle.
Okay. Sounds good.
Who do the fans go with?
Oh, that's right. Let me just get here quick. The fans went also with Josh Jackson, corner out of Seattle or Iowa. I'm sorry. So all 3 of us.
That's 3 or 4 times that's already happened tonight. All right. So with the 19th pick, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Who are you going with? I'm going first. Screw it. I'm going first. I'm not letting you steal my thunder again. I'm going.
Uh,
I mean, this one's just too easy. They let go of Des
is
Bryant.
it though?
They've got to go wide receiver. I'm going Alabama's
Oh
Calvin
my,
Ridley.
oh my gosh, Chris.
Are we going 6 for 6? 6 in a row?
Yeah, we are.
I mean, that was just too easy. That one, I knew.
Yeah, before I hopped on here though, I was watching the NFL Nation mock draft on ESPN, and the ESPN reporter for the Cowboys said that they're actually really high on Leighton Vander Esch. So that could be the pick too, but I already have him off the board, so
Yeah,
I
I
got to
have
go
him.
wide
Yeah.
out. So, Calvin Ridley.
And who do the fans go with?
Fans went with a wide receiver as well, but Calvin Ridley's already off the board in the interactive mock draft. So they went with Cortland Sutton out of SMU.
I like that pick too.
I think that's kind of a reach. That's my opinion, though.
All right, so with the 20th pick in the draft, the Detroit Lions are up, and they are taking. I'm going first again.
This can't be the same. It won't be the same this time.
They got a new coach who loves defense, who loves good
Oh my God.
up the middle pressure. They're going with Daron Payne out of Alabama.
Oh, okay. All right. We didn't go the same this time. Same position, different player.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Payne pick though.
Yeah.
I think Daron Payne is the better player, but this is what I think is going to happen, not what I think should happen. So I'm going with defensive tackle Taven Bryan out of Florida. That has been a name that's linked to Matt Patricia. That's a experiment, and he has a lot of upside, and he actually could end up being the best defensive tackle taken out of this class if his talent is unleashed.
And who do the fans pick?
Fans went running back. I think same as last time. I don't think this pick has changed in the 3 times we've done the interactive mock draft. Yep, all 3 times. Running back, Darius Guice, Louisiana State.
I just think that's way too early. But
I mean, I think Guice is going to be a first-round running back, but I just don't understand, like as many running backs as Detroit has, why fans think that they need to add another one. It's just a waste of time. Like Matthew Stafford is going to score points for your teams. Go defense and get better in that spot.
yeah.
That's my take on it anyways.
All right, so with the 21st pick in the draft, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock.
Vontaze Burfict got suspended. Regardless, when he comes back, they still need a lot of help at linebacker. I'm going Rashawn Evans, linebacker out of Alabama. How about you? I copied you again, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
I think that one thing that this draft is going to be known for is going to be the offensive line. I think there's a lot of good offensive linemen in this draft. I think one goes here, and I'm taking the center out of Arkansas, Frank Ragnow.
Oh, I like that. See, that's another name that's been pushed up the boards here the past 2 weeks or so.
Normally I would think
really
that a couple of weeks ago I would have thought that was a reach, but now I think it's more possible. So after some of the talk, there's been kind of he's been gaining traction. Who do the fans pick?
Fans for the Bengals went with an offensive lineman as well. They went with Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia. Isaiah Wynn is something I just read this today. I completely forgot that he had a labrum issue, and scouts seem to think that that's going to push him down the board a bit, and possibly even out of the first round, which would be crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Vikings might actually have a chance at him for all the Vikings fans that listen to us.
Yeah, right. All right, so with the 22nd pick in the draft, the Buffalo Bills are on the clock.
Yeah, hashing on before, I had the Bills trading up to get quarterback Josh Rosen at number 5, so the Broncos are actually picking here for the Bills. They traded back. With their first pick, they selected nose tackle Vita Vea out of Washington, and at 22, I have them going running back, Darius Geis out of LSU. CJ Anderson was recently cut, so they might as well find a starter replacement.
Interesting. I have Indianapolis here because Buffalo traded up. And I have Indianapolis picking Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, pass
Going-
rush is
going-
definitely a spot they need help.
Going defense twice in the first round for the Colts.
Who was your first pick for the Colts?
The first one was Tremaine Edmonds.
Oh, okay. So linebacker and pass rusher.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So with the 23rd pick, the New England Patriots are up. Who are they picking?
I better do the interactive one quick. So I got Rayshawn Evans for the
I'm
Bills.
sorry. Did I forget to ask? Okay, my bad. Bills. All right.
Yeah, that's all right.
And the Patriots at 23?
Another player I think that's going to go higher than he should. I actually don't really like him at all, and I don't know. I'd probably chuck a remote through my TV if the Vikings ended up picking him, but I got the Patriots going tackle Colton Miller here out of UCLA. Got to replace Nate Solder.
I'm about to throw my remote at my computer because you just took another one of my picks.
Great minds think alike. That's how you got to look at this.
Okay. Whatever you say. Whatever you say. All right. So with the... Oh, and who'd the fans pick? I keep forgetting about the fans.
The fans went with your boy Mike Hughes, corner out of Central Florida.
Yeah, got to replace
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler, yeah.
Yeah, he adds versatility in the return game too, which is something else that they could use.
All right. So with the 24th pick in the draft, the Carolina Panthers are up.
I have them going wide receiver. I know it's been slated as one of their biggest needs, and I got them going DJ Moore. This is a Norv Turner pick. DJ Moore is a fun wide receiver just because he adds so much value after the catch. What, you copied me again?
Yes.
Pick a different wideout.
I thought this was gonna be. I'm going Cortland Sutton. Screw it. Just threw my whole mock draft out.
Yeah, Panthers like the big wideouts. Hey, the way you can look at this is at least we can cry together when our mock drafts are just completely trash on Thursday.
Yeah. Who did the fans pick at 24?
Fans went with safety Justin Reed out of Stanford. I know they got Mike Adams currently. I know he's really old, and then they cut Kurt Coleman, who is now with you guys in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So they don't have crap at safety right now. So that's a good pick for them too.
It's a good pick. All right, so 25 Tennessee Titans.
All right, I know you don't have the same guy this time. I did not want to put him in here, but I've just read so much crap the past 2 days, I had to do it. I got them going edge rusher Josh Sweat out of Florida State.
Whew, thank God.
This is a reach, in my opinion, but it sounds like the Titans are really high on him. We didn't
pick the same person.
Yeah, I'm making you feel better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if his medicals check out, he could be a really good player, but he's suffered a lot of injuries in his time in college.
I went with defensive line Maurice Hurst.
I'm really curious to see where he's going to go, to be honest.
The health issues kind of scare me. I think he should honestly go probably top 15.
I mean, like talent-wise, yeah.
But
what do you think? Doctors cleared him.
Yeah, I think he's going to play.
They cleared his heart condition.
I don't know, man. It's with the Nick Fairley thing just happening recently, fresh in everybody's mind. That could push him out of the first round, but
I think it has to. But
we'll see. But that's
talent-wise, like you said, I think he's definitely a top 15 talent. I mean, he's really good.
Yeah, so that's who I'm going with. Who'd the fans go with?
fans went with a pass rusher as well, and they went with Marcus Davenport out of Texas San Antonio.
Okay. With the 26th pick in the draft, the Atlanta Falcons.
I don't know what to do about this here. I feel like he could fall out of the second round, but I'll stick to my guts here. I'm going with Isaiah Wynn, the guard out of Georgia. Brandon Fusco is definitely not the answer. And who's their left guard? Levitre, I'm sorry.
Levitre.
Andy Levitre is not getting any younger, and they need to have some stability, so they might as well keep the in-state guy.
All right. I am going with Taven Bryan out of Florida.
Yeah, that's been mocked a lot. I could see that.
Yeah.
Matt Miller tweeted the other day. They said he thinks Taven Bryan's going to be a top 20 pick.
Yeah,
that's why I have him going to Detroit.
I mean,
talent's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right team's got to unlock it though.
Who did the fans pick?
Fans went with defensive tackle as well, Maurice Hurst out of Michigan.
All right.
I received some backlash on that.
Why's that?
Well, when I was doing the interactive mock draft with fans, I still had Deron Payne on the board. And I didn't put him as a choice, I guess, for whatever reason I forgot to. And I did have one Falcon saying, why the hell isn't Deron Payne an option? Because that's who the pick should be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
That's all you got to say about that. All right, with the 27th pick, the New Orleans Saints.
Are you ready for this, Chris?
I'm scared.
Pass rusher. Not Sam Hubbard. Marcus Davenport, Texas San Antonio. Carlos Dunlap Jr.
You think he's going to fall that far?
I mean, if Green Bay doesn't select him, I could see him falling that far.
Okay.
The Titans, maybe, if the Titans pass on him. I think the Saints are going to go defense. They have a lot of talent on offense, and I know we had – I shouldn't spoil this. You'll have to listen to Deuce and see what he says in our upcoming interview.
Yeah. All right. Well, I went with tight end Hayden Hurst.
Oh, you went tight end, huh?
I did, and I had.
So that's your final pick.
It's my final
You don't get
pick.
to do any more mock drafts. We're going Thursday night. The Saints are on the clock. Chris says they're going Hayden Hurst.
And I've bounced around. So when our first mock draft, I think I went with Godart. I think my second one, I think I went
Gesicki.
I went with Gesicki. Last week I went with Lamar Jackson. I mean, I've been all over the place with this pick, and I am settling in. Final mock draft, I'm going Hayden Hurst from South Carolina.
All right. I'm cool with it.
And who did the fans go with?
Good pick. Sam Hubbard, pass rusher, Ohio State. And we actually got some good interaction from Saints fans this time, too.
Yeah, we did.
And that was the top guy.
Sam Hubbard, okay.
Appreciate y'all.
So with the 28th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I have them going corner here. Jair Alexander out of Louisville.
Ooh,
Give them some secondary help. You can play slot, offer some return value.
That's interesting. I am going with Rashaan Evans.
Okay. Well, that'd be a hell of a steal, actually, at 28 if he actually falls that far.
If he falls that far, yeah. Got to replace Shazier, so.
Yeah, he can play inside and out. And the really cool thing about him is he can play almost any linebacker spot in a 3-4 and a 4-3 defense. And Pittsburgh is a 3-4, so he can actually rush the passer well, too. He went to Alabama. That's what he was slated as a pass rusher.
Okay.
So I like that pick. I like that pick a lot if he falls that far.
Yeah, if he falls that far.
Yeah.
All right,
the Saints, or not the Saints. Yeah, the fans went with a linebacker as well, Leighton Vander Esch, Boise State. If his medical's clear with his neck issue, the doctors say he has an issue with. That's a good Ryan Shazier replacement.
Yeah. All right, so with the 29th pick in the draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Shout out to the Jaguars fans. We got some good interaction from you guys as well on Sunday. And you guys selected Will Hernandez, the guard out of UTEP. That's a mean offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You got Cam Robinson. They added Andrew Norwell this offseason. Brandon Linder, the 6'6" or 6'7" center, like one of the biggest centers in the game. And then you add Will Hernandez, who could possibly play right guard or be the right guard for you guys next year as well. Leonard Fournette's going to run for 2,000 yards.
Yeah. I am going to go ahead and break Vikings fans' hearts. And I'm going to take Isaiah Wynn.
Ooh.
At 29. He's going to make it one pick before the Jaguars.
You did that on purpose.
What's that?
You did that on purpose.
I totally
did that on purpose.
I totally did it on purpose. Y'all are gonna get so happy. Y'all are gonna think Isaiah Wynn's gonna fall, and then at 29, the Jaguars are gonna break your
slap
ass.
right in the face.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I totally just realized that I did the fan pick first instead of my own.
No.
And I actually also have Will Hernandez as the pick for the Jags.
Yeah.
So next up,
the Minnesota Vikings.
Trade. I know I did this last week too, or 2 weeks ago whenever we did our last mock draft. I think Rick Spielman's going to trade out. He's going to want to try to get his 4th round pick back and maybe and try to acquire 2 second round picks. So I think we are going to trade out on Thursday night. I don't know who is going to trade up, but in this case, I have the Browns trading up to replace Joe Thomas with mini Joe Thomas tackle Connor Williams out of Texas.
Okay.
Before the Patriots or the Eagles get to him.
I actually had the Vikings staying put, and I have them going cornerback Jair Alexander.
That's actually a really popular pick amongst Vikings fans right now. I'd like that a lot. I'm cool with that. Solid secondary depth, can play inside and out.
Yeah.
Returner. Cool.
All right.
The fans went with tackle Mike McGlinchey, and that was our first tackle off the board in their interactive mock draft, which is completely unrealistic. If a tackle drops to 30,
yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. I don't even know what else, but that's pretty unrealistic in my opinion.
All right. So with the 31st pick, the New England Patriots are on the clock.
I am going with a corner. The first pick I had for the Patriots, I went with tackle Colton Miller, and I think that they need to replace Malcolm Butler, so I'm going with corner Isaiah Oliver out of Colorado. Speedster.
All right. I am doing something that I promised myself I would never do. I promised myself I would never do this. My sixth quarterback in the first round, Mason Rudolph, Oklahoma State.
So you're one of those believers. I've been asking every single person that's been a guest on our show here if 6 quarterbacks are going to go in the first round, and you're a believer, huh?
I'm mocking it.
Oh,
Mason Rudolph.
I like it. It's bold. I don't think it should happen, but I mean, I guess it really wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots panic and really feel that Brady only has maybe a year or 2 left. If it makes you feel better, the fans also went with Mason Rudolph in a close one.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Interesting. And who did you pick?
I went with Isaiah Oliver.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
A corner out of Colorado, yeah.
And with the 32nd pick The Philadelphia Eagles will bring us home.
Should have had Big Vic on the pod for us. Make the pick for us. I'm going tight end. They lost Brent Selleck in free agency. They lost Trey Burton in free agency. They got to get a backup to Zach Ertz, and Mike Gesicki, the homeboy, Penn State. That copy you?
You did not. You didn't even come close to copying me.
What does that mean?
Because I have a trade. Da da da.
Ooh.
The Cleveland Browns trade back up into the first to take LSU running back Darius Geis.
You're going to move up one pick to take a running back, huh? It's interesting. Close out the night. I like it.
And in case you care, I have him going Gesicki at 33 for the Philadelphia Eagles.
So technically, you did copy me again.
Technically, but I threw in that last second trade to throw things off.
That's all right. The fans went with corner Jair Alexander out of Louisville.
Cool.
They just cut Daryl Worley for being an idiot, so they got to get a corner, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so y'all hold on for 2 seconds, and when we come back to the podcast, we have our interview with Nick Davaine, the Godfather of All Pro Nation. Y'all enjoy that. All right, and now we have a special guest for you guys here on the All Pro Nation podcast. We have the Godfather has decided to show back up. Nicholas, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing, guys?
Great, buddy.
We're doing good. I think for a lot of our newer listeners, they don't even know who you are.
Godfather of All Pro Nation.
Introduce him.
So for those of you who don't know, Nick is the brains behind All Pro Nation. He created the website. He kind of got all this going, and he is our fearless leader. So we're happy to have him. He was the very first co-host of the All Pro Nation podcast before, life got a little difficult, and then Tanner decided to step in and fill in for him. So we're happy to have Nick back on the podcast to talk a little draft football tonight. And so, Nick, you ready?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the introduction, and let's face it, Tanner's just better. So,
he is.
We're glad to have Tanner on board.
And then, of course, you can find Nick. Nick's usually tweeting on the All Pro Nation handle, so be sure to follow us on Twitter at All Pro Nation, and that's where you can interact with Nick on Twitter. All right, so Nick, let's jump right on in. So first off, let me ask, this draft class has a lot of different opinions about it. Some think it's a good class, some think it's a weaker class. More consensus falls in that it's a weaker class. What do you think of this draft class?
I don't know. I'd like to say it's an intriguing class, but I wouldn't necessarily go with weak, few guys out there, Barkley, Chubb, everyone knows what they're doing, man. They're going to be great players. But I think this draft, which is so intriguing about, is that it can go any way. Don't really care for the quarterback class, something to be desired, but the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and it puts a lot of value on that position. So I don't think this class necessarily has any sexy picks at the QB position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Skill
Who's
players.
your favorite?
Man, that's hard.
There's a lot of really good QBs in this class. You got to have somebody.
I don't. I think Rosen, Josh.
Josh
be
Rosen,
number
yeah.
one. Rosen, I said Rosen. I'm sorry. Rosen would be number one. Of course, Lamar Jackson. Of course, you can change them up, 1 or 2, 2 and 1. Mayfield, Darnell, Allen. That's probably where I'd stop.
And where do you think all these different quarterbacks are going to land at? And just so the fans caught what you were saying. I just want to kind of correct me if I'm wrong. So you kind of ranked your quarterbacks: Josh Rosen number 1, Lamar Jackson number 2, Baker Mayfield number 3, Sam Darnold 4, and Josh Allen 5.
Yeah, that's the way I like them. That's if I was grading these guys, if I was a draft guy, that's what I like. Now, they're going to land. It's possible they land completely different. I think the Browns would go with Darnold, although I like the idea of Mayfield going there. I saw some reports today, but I think I'm going to stick with Darnold. The Jets may take Mayfield if he's still around. I don't know. These guys can end up anywhere,
Yeah.
Josh Allen in Denver, he has the highest ceiling, and with them having Case Keenum, he doesn't have to start right away. And then Lamar Jackson, maybe the hometown Saints, man, or the Patriots might even trade up to look for a Tom Brady replacement. Rosen possibly for the Patriots. I mean, this is why I say the draft is intriguing. There's so many options, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that are surprised on draft day, the actual draft day, of where people go and where these players go.
Yeah. Can you name one player that you think might fall completely out of the first round?
That's a tough one. I would say it'd probably have to be a corner. I think the corners in the draft have some strengths and weaknesses. None of them are good at everything, in my opinion. I think 2, maybe 3 make it the first round, and all the others fall, man, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no clear-cut guy. If you ask 5 different guys who the best corner in the draft is, you'll probably get 5 different answers. I know we've talked about that already in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of like I say, it's an intriguing draft class. I don't think there's clear cuts. Drafts in the past, there have been, who was going 1, 2, 3, 4 down to 10, 12 spot. I think as it progresses, depending where guys, I think some teams are going to be surprised at where guys go that they may have assumed on their draft board would be gone, and then all of a sudden these guys are going to be there when it comes down to those later picks in the first round.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up corner. What maybe 2 corners do you like the best going into the first round?
Mike Hughes, I think he'll make it in the first round. Ward, Alexander, Jackson. I think Ward may also go into the first, so either Jackson or Alexander may slip.
Yes.
But I'm saying, man, it's a roll of the dice,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think definitely, Hughes is going to go.
Okay. Yeah, he's a name that a lot of people weren't high on to start the draft process, but his name's gained a lot of traction. Obviously, Denzel Ward being the kind of consensus number 1, but his stock has kind of fallen a little bit while Hughes has been raising. So that's going to be. I agree with you. I think that's going to be interesting to see where they go. What about a player that you think it might sneak into the first round?
I guess you can call me a homer, but I'm going with LSU, man. DJ Shark. I think he's underrated. He can really stretch out a defense. You like him?
Yeah, I like that as a pick. Some guy that could sneak into the first round. I think he's got a lot of upside, and he's his production wasn't anything incredible in college, but I know it's been speculated for a long time that LSU hasn't always had the greatest quarterbacks.
I was about to say, look at the quarterback throwing the ball, man, but this little cat's fast,
That's a guy like Odell Beckham that could come into the league and throw up 1,000 yards in his rookie season. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
LSU has the royal family, so especially in that receiving core. They do pretty good at the wide receiver position, converting those guys into all-stars in the NFL. So I think people may look at him just because the school and the speed.
Yeah, I like the DJ Chark pick too. So sneaking into the first round, so there at the end of the first round, what team do you think might reach up and grab him?
honestly, we'd probably even like to see him going in a Saints uniform, but maybe the Panthers will grab him. I think he's going to end up in the South with all those teams picking.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Well, Philadelphia
Philly.
they just re-signed Alshon Jeffrey. I like the Panthers pick with with them not having a clear-cut number one. The offense kind of running through McCaffrey now, so I could get on board with that.
Yeah, they need some wide receiver help. I don't want to see them have wide receiver help, but
right on.
Cam Newton's a guy that doesn't necessarily make receivers better, but if he has good receivers, man, he can get them the ball, and so that may be a direction the Panthers take. I could see that happen.
Mm-hmm. All right, and last question for you: Does pineapples go in a crawfish boil?
No, unless you're from New Orleans itself, because they're just weird.
Okay, big controversy on Twitter, the Saints community, the last couple of days about pineapples and crawfish bowl. So I'm just curious where you kind of fell on that.
Yeah, no, like I'm saying, man, unless you, let me tell you, New Orleans, the city itself, I'm not throwing in the outside. I'm not throwing in the, Kenner Metairie guys or the West Bank, but New Orleans itself, there's a couple of weird cats out there, and they might enjoy a Hawaiian crawfish ball. But the rest of Louisiana, especially the South, I'm not talking about the top of the boot because we all know they're not Cajun. But the rest of the people from Cajun land, no pineapples, period.
Well, Nick,
Godfather has spoken.
The Godfather has spoken. Well, Nick, we sure do appreciate you stopping by and talking some draft with us, man. Look, man, don't be a stranger. It's gonna be a long off season. We could use a little of the Godfather's wisdom this off season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Anytime. I appreciate you guys having me, man. Y'all keep up the good work.
Thanks, man.
It's doing good, man.
So, yeah,
thanks, Nick.
Y'all don't forget, that's Nick Davaine, starter of All Pro Nation, and you can find him on Twitter on the All Pro Nation account. So that's All Pro Nation. So thanks, Nick. Have a good night, man.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Tanner.
See you, man.
Tanner. All right. Bye.
All right, and we're back. So Nick had some pretty interesting things to say, huh, Tanner?
Oh yeah, I like the DJ Shark. I like that a lot.
Yeah, you like the DJ Shark popping back up into the first round.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a good pro.
And then just Nick is on me with the Mike Hughes thing. He thinks Mike Hughes might actually make it in the first round. I think that's pretty interesting. I don't think anybody else sees him like that for some reason. So,
well, I know the off the field character issues. I know it's nothing huge, but I mean he does have it there, and that's always a red flag for some teams.
Yeah.
If they want to take a chance on a first round player.
Yeah. Any other like big draft storylines that we haven't really hit on?
I don't think so, man. Not really. I talked about the Broncos. John Elway, he opened up and said he was shopping the 5th pick, and Dave Gettleman, the Giants GM, came out today and said that they are not taking any more phone calls for number 2. So That's about it. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. Cool. Well, let's shoot over. Let's see what Deuce Wyndham has to say about the draft. Y'all enjoy this interview with Canal Street Chronicles' very own Deuce Wyndham. All right, and welcome back to the podcast. And we have a special guest for you guys tonight as we're ending this pre-draft show before the draft this week. We have the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Reverend Deuce Wyndham. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Don't know if I qualify for all those nice adjectives and everything you've given me, but I appreciate it.
Dude, so why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs and on the Twitterverse?
Yeah, sure. Great. Depending on what age group you fall into, maybe you're a millennial, or maybe you're a little bit older. Depends on what you're going to follow me with. So if you like Twitter, well, at RevDeuceWyndham, RevDeuceWyndham. If you like your stuff, videos and everything like that, YouTube, just look up Deuce Wyndham NFL. And if you're a little bit of the younger crowd, enjoy video gaming and talking football at the same time, then check out the Twitch channel, which is RevDeuce, RevDeuce.
Cool deal. And for those of you who know, I'm over at Canal Street Chronicles, and you can catch out some of Deuce's work over there as well. So he puts up a lot of good content. So y'all go check that out. All right, so we're gonna talk the draft. First thing I want to ask you, I just want to kind of throw this out there, and there's a reason why I really wanted to get Deuce on the show tonight. So, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you went through the Scouting Academy program, correct?
Correct. I did not complete all 8 modules, but I did, attend the academy, and I also worked as an intern, basically running their social media side of things for a few months, and contributed to the 2018 NFL draft guide with Inside the Pylon as part of their about 50-something scouts. So, yeah, I did all that. Didn't complete the entire program. I want to make sure I throw that out there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just say that to say, like, you got some pretty good training with some of the best people in the scouting industry. And so when you look at tape and you break things down, I mean, you really know what you're looking at.
Oh, yeah, it's a phenomenal group of people over there. I mean, anybody who's wanting to just increase their football acumen, even if they have no desire to become a professional scout or go into sports journalism or anything like that, I would definitely recommend it. It's a phenomenal program.
Yeah. So with all that being said, if you're looking at this draft class, what are your overall thoughts on the draft class this year?
Well, I mean, like in terms of strength and weaknesses for different positions, or
well, a lot of people. One of the biggest criticisms that I'm hearing out of this draft is that it's more of a weaker class as compared to the last couple of draft classes that we've seen, and just kind of want to kind of pick your brain on what you kind of feel about that.
Well, see, I would disagree, but I think it really comes down to preferences on what you like. So let's talk about some of the big names in last year's class. Malik Hooker, Jamal Adams, Solomon Thomas, Myles Garrett, Lattimore, obviously, Sidney Jones, O.J. Howard, Hassan Reddick. All those guys are those big, flashy, they're the ones who make the big bucks type of things. Those are the headliners, my edge rusher, my best corner. This year's class, I think it's still deep. I mean, I've got 26 players in my draft guide with first round grades. That to me doesn't say it's a weak class, but the names that are on that, you look at whether it's my board or somebody else's, a lot of the big names are guys like Quentin Nelson or Vita Vea or, Maurice Hurst. Interior defensive line and interior offensive line seems to be probably the two strongest classes in this group, and you could throw in running backs there. Running backs considered a deep year and stuff, but it's just a preference thing. So for me, I'm actually more excited about this year's class because I prefer trench warfare to skill position type players. But it's all about what you like. I mean, if you like the flashy stuff, receivers and corners and all that, last year's probably more your year. But if we're talking about talent for talent, I couldn't call this class weak because there's a lot of guys that you're probably going to find in rounds 2 and 3 that become starters, particularly among those offensive and defensive linemen that I've mentioned.
All right,
I guess the way I look at that is like this class isn't necessarily as deep as last year's class because there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of number one guys in the first round. But like Deuce said, in the second, third, fourth round, you're going to find a lot of key depth players, wide receivers that are going to be like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 guys for their teams within the first year, but not necessarily wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and just for comparison, I have 26 players this year with first round grades. Last year, that number was 24. So, I mean, technically by my standards, if I say this class is deeper in terms of big talent, it's just a different type of talent,
Right.
So it's all about what you like.
Right. Okay. And then, of course, the big storyline going into every draft, year in and year out, is the quarterbacks. Because really, there's only a handful of teams that have the elite quarterback. Then there's that second tier. There's a good bit of those, but then after that, it almost feels like a good fourth of the league is constantly looking for a quarterback. We have 5 really of the top 5. We have 5 really top quarterbacks in this year's draft. How would you kind of rank those guys?
Well, first I got to ask you, who are your 5? Because depending on who you ask, 5s are different.
Well, that's true. I guess let's go with the overall consensus 5 of Rosen, Allen, Darnold, Jackson, and Mayfield. And hey, let's get crazy. Let's throw in 6. Let's throw Mason Rudolph in there too.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. I just think preface this by saying I think that 5, maybe even all 6 of these guys are gone in the first 40 picks. But I've only got 2 with actual first round grades. But Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield are my 1 and 2. After that, I've got Lamar Jackson, then Sam Darnold, Just to note, Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold scores are like insanely close to my draft guide, so it's not like I'm picking one of the better than the other. It's a pick your poison type deal. If you prefer one thing over the other, fine. Got those guys 3 for them. You take a little bit more of a drop. From there, you can Rudolph.
I'm going to ask the same question we've asked the last few guys. True or false? We see 6 QBs go in the round on Thursday.
I'm going to say false. I think it's certainly if there's a year for that to happen, this would probably be the year, but I can't see 6 good.
I guess I'm really torn on it just because I feel like there's going to be such a high demand for QBs after the first 10 picks. I think it's really up off, and I feel like
the reason quarterback goes so high is the teams that are selecting them, particularly in the first round, need them to start usually immediately. Mm-hmm. That need drops off significantly after about pick 15. You're getting to the middle of the NFL. Usually those guys have got competent starters. And you look at a team, I mean, New Orleans is a perfect example. They can take a quarterback at 27, but they don't necessarily need to because they're fine at that position, even with an aging Drew Brees. But yet they're one of the about 15, 18 quarterback needy teams, quote unquote. So those type of guys can easily wait to the second. I mean, New England Patriots they're at 23. There's been talking about they get Lamar Jackson, but they could easily get around and get Kyle Lauletta. I mean, it's yes, 6 could go. But the thought process that there's going to be a run. It's very rare that we see a run on backs where they continually go off the 6 of them, and that I think that'd be the first time that's happened in 30, 40 years. Yeah, so that'd be insane.
That's all right. So your first, you're 1 and 2. You said Rosen and
Mayfield.
Mayfield. Where do you think those 2 are going to land?
Landing spots is a lot more difficult to try to guess than actually build a scouting report. I'll tell you what, I'll tell you guys scheme players, some scouting reports on these guys, and you can kind of make up your mind as a listener if they fit your Josh Rosen, West Coast / pro style offense, focusing on his ability to excel in the short to intermediate range of the field. He'll find success stretching the field with play action. He has the best mechanics of this class, both lower and upper body mechanics, very high mental processor, short to intermediate accuracy is very good, competitively tough, and has good pocket awareness and poise. So if you're talking about a traditional West Coast style system, you're looking at a New Orleans type of thing, what New Orleans is running now if you need a comparison. Now let's move on to Baker. He's in a similar boat, but he's a West Coast style fit that blends in spread concepts. So he has the arm strength to really do anything that you want. There's been some people who question his arm strength, and he's got an arm just as good as anybody else in this draft. Can push the ball downfield on play action, which I think will be big for him. I think a scheme like Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers be a good spot for him. Obviously, they've got Garoppolo, so they're not looking, but just an idea of scheme-wise. And his processing speed will allow teams to utilize him in various passing concepts early on. When we talk about passing concepts, we're talking about like the NCAA concept or sail concepts and spot concepts, things like that you don't necessarily see that often in college ball, but you can see 5 full-man reads or 5-man reads and full field reads for Baker Mayfield early on in his career. So it gives you a little bit of a step up there, and you can see that fitting in most teams in the league.
Okay, cool deal. And then every year there's always the big name player that's everybody's kind of shocked. They slip in draft boards, and then by the end of Thursday night, they actually didn't get selected. Do you kind of have an idea of who you could see that being this year?
I was until you said the not selected part, because I think Minkah Fitzpatrick has a big chance to fall, and he's number 2 on my board. There are people who have him number 5 or number 6. He's a consensus top 10 for most people that I speak with. But the way that he plays the position, so he spent most of his time in the slot. He's very versatile, and I think he lines up perfectly to play free safety. But it comes to positional value. I mean, how many people just want a free safety that high, especially in a year where quarterback is so highly coveted? It's the same thing with Quentin Nelson. Most people that I've spoken to in and around the NFL consider him the best player at a particular position. He dominates his position better than anybody else dominates theirs. He's not going to be the first round pick. Cleveland Browns are not selecting Quentin Nelson.
No.
He could fall as far as 7, 8, 9, something like that, based on how many quarterbacks go, even though most would consider him probably the biggest talent.
Do you think that'd be different if he was playing tackle instead of guard?
Maybe, but honestly, not really. I don't, because I honestly, Quentin Nelson could play tackle if you wanted him to. He is a guard, but if you look at the league now, Fletcher Cox, Geno Atkins, Aaron Donald, and Dominican Sue, the league is shifting to a more interior threat as a pass rush than it has been in previous years. You need guards just like you need tackles now. It's not 10 years ago where it's only Julius Peppers killing you off the edge. I mean, now it's an interior dominated line, almost like if you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, you talk about some of their best offensive linemen and some of the best D linemen. Those were some of the big matchups. It was who was Leroy Glover going to go against? Who was Warren Sapp going against? Not necessarily who is, J.J. Watt going against or Von Miller. So I think you're seeing a slight shift. Obviously, tackle is still important. I'm not discounting that at all. I just think that, even in that regard, people feel that you can find offensive linemen later than you can things like quarterback. Quarterback, everybody there's a consensus that if you don't take a first-round quarterback, statistics say you're not getting a starter. You're just not. Right. It can happen, but it's a blue moon situation.
Right.
Wait, to answer your question. I'll give you a Josh Jackson out of Iowa.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
I really like Josh Jackson. It's not a knock on Josh Jackson's talent.
Scheme fits.
It's the fact that at Iowa, I said the same thing about Desmond King last year. Desmond King's a very good football player. Iowa plays almost nothing but zone coverage, so you get very limited reps seeing him, even in all 22, playing press, playing off, seeing how he can mirror routes from the line of scrimmage up, how he can anticipate routes in terms of route recognition and man coverage. You just don't get to see him do that enough, so it's a question mark. It's not a he can't do it, but it's a do I want to risk selecting this guy if I'm a cornerback needy team in the top 20, or would I rather take Mike Hughes or Denzel Ward or maybe Jari Alexander, who I know can make those type of plays? At least I've seen it on tape. So Josh Jackson's a guy that athletically, ball skills, everything you want is there.
Right.
All the athlete is built for you, but you don't have tape to know that he can be that guy like in a Kansas City system that plays heavy man. You don't know if you can trust him yet. So there's a guy in Josh Jackson that could fall to the second, even though he's a first round talent by almost everybody's standards because of fit.
Right. Okay. And then on the flip side, do you see anybody in this draft that should probably go in the second round, but they might creep their way up into the first round?
Pick your favorite tight end, and there's your answer.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
I mean, it's not that the tight ends are bad, but it's not like last year when you had O.J. Howard, and you just look at him and go, oh, my goodness, this man is unstoppable. You see a bunch of good but not great tight ends early on. All these guys need something that needs to be fixed in their game or developed. Just to not take the easy answer, I'll say Arkansas's Frank Ragnow, center/guard. This goes back to positions not necessarily being ranked as highly as others. That dude is insane in Arkansas. His tape is phenomenal. And he's a guy
Alabama was an animal.
Yeah, very easily fall into the second. But, if you're building, and I think Dallas is a great example of this. You're talking about a team that was able to change their fortunes based on one thing. They rebuilt their offensive line, and they were back in the playoffs. And that's all it took. Their defense did not get better. I mean, yes, they replaced some players and things, changed, sure. But their defense did not go from being, into the league to top of the league, and that's how they got in the playoffs. They got in the playoffs because they built the best offensive line in the NFL. You still win this football game by building in the trenches. So teams that start focusing in on that, like getting guys like Frank Ragnow and Will Hernandez and Billy Price, those are the ones who are building for long-term success. And I think that you can have those type of talents available in the second. They're probably worth taking earlier, but are going to fall because of positional value. It's the same thing with tight end. I think tight end, because it scores touchdowns, probably gets selected before a lot of higher ranking, centers and guards or even tackles, because centers and guards and tackles don't put stuff on the box score.
Yeah, they're not the sexy pick for sure.
I like my men big and strong.
All right, so I'm not going to let you take the easy answer on this one either. We all kind of know that Buffalo's probably going to trade up to get a quarterback. They've kind of positioned themselves that way. Could you see any other big draft trades happening on day one?
Well, I've talked to a couple people, and I think Benjamin Albright put it out there. Denver is shopping their pick at 5. I think that's a move possibility. The Colts moving back, I think, is a possibility. especially if Bradley Chubb's already gone. I don't necessarily see them having to take a Saquon Barkley or something like that. I think somebody's going to move. Now, I don't necessarily think the Bills are the one that have to move. I think with Richie Incognito retiring, it puts the Bills on alert. Their offensive line was really good last year, but he was the best member of that line, and they just lost it, and that's key. So if you're going to take a quarterback, you've got to protect him. Losing your best offensive lineman becomes an immediate, hole that you have to fill that you weren't expecting to. With them having 2 first-round picks, you could see them maybe sitting and waiting, at where they're at and just selecting, at 21. Is it 21 or 22 that they have their second pick, and taking a guard or maybe an Isaiah Wynn or Will Hernandez there, and not necessarily being the team that trades up. Now, before the Richie Incognito stuff, I would have said, yeah, Bills are the team to watch. But now I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make a move, if they're not able to move up, because we've already came out, about 30 minutes before we got on the show here, that Dave Gettleman's shutting down all trade talks. He's simply not giving up number 2 from what we've heard. I doubt the Browns are giving away 4. We've already had a trade up into, the top 5 area. So how many teams are really willing to get rid of that collateral at this point? It doesn't look like there's anybody.
Right. Okay, and then we're gonna let you put your fanboy hat on for a little bit. I know you cover the Saints primarily, and so go ahead. What do you think the Saints are gonna do at 27? Do they stay at 27?
I think they stay. I think they're in a great position now. They stay unless a guy like Lamar Jackson or Baker Mayfield, but preferably the former, is in range. If they feel like maybe New England's going to snipe him, I would not be surprised if they jump to like a 22. So you heard that here first. But Lamar Jackson's a maybe, but overall I think they stay, and then I think they trade up into the second round. They're just not going to draft.
They're not sitting out the second round. Just not happening.
As far as who they take, they're actually in a phenomenal position because they've answered every need that they have, and now you're kind of on the want side. Now, some of those needs that you've answered are not long-term answers. Benjamin Watson's not the long-term answer at tight end. Alex Okafor with that Achilles injury is more of a question mark than a long-term answer. He might come back 100%. He might come back 75% and be out of the league in 2 to 3 years. We don't know. So I think that edge is still there, but I don't think they have to just take a guy. They could take Dallas Goedert if they absolutely love him. They could take, Sam Hubbard if they love him there. They could take Dante Pettis, sorry, if they love him there. As far as who I would like them to pick, I put out a video on YouTube of about 10 players I'd be A-okay with. I mean, Isaiah Wynn at offensive line, Lamar Jackson, Mike Hughes at the corner, Baker Mayfield, Roquan Smith. I mean, I'd be fine with Leighton Vander Esch. I'd be fine with Sam Hubbard. At this point, because the Saints do not have a need that just screams, hey, we cannot go to the Super Bowl because this is bad, I'm good with them taking almost anybody as long as they're not reaching for like a third-round talent.
And just to ask, you're not worried about the wide receiver position, especially with Willie Snead going over to Baltimore?
I do think that it needs to be addressed, but I don't feel like it has to be addressed immediately. And this draft is situated in a way that you can find, especially for what the Saints need, in the third round. Their needs can be found because they need a slot guy who can also operate maybe as a flanker, or if they want to see Ted Ginn's replacement, a flanker who can operate as a slot. Well, then you're talking about, like DJ out of LSU. You're talking about Anthony Miller, Deshaun Hamilton, maybe Dante Pettis is in that argument. Corey Robertson out of USM is a maybe. Antonio Callaway, if you want to deal with the red flags. Plenty of names that they could throw out there round 3, round 4, and plug in immediately to what they need. I don't think it's something they have to take in the first round. Now, that being said, say a Calvin Ridley falls, who is the consensus for most people number 1 receiver. Calvin Ridley's maybe available now at 27. Well, I mean, Sean Payton loves having weapons. I mean,
right.
What's a good way to extend Drew Brees' career? Give him an offensive line and give him receivers.
Right.
They've definitely been doing that. So, sure, if that guy is available who's simply irresistible, he fits perfect, he does everything you want, you just did not think he'd be there, take him. Same thing like Marshawn Lattimore last year. They did not think Lattimore would be there at 11. As soon as he was, it wasn't a hesitation. We're taking Marshawn Lattimore. You could offer us picks. We're taking Lattimore. So if they have a guy like that isn't expected to fall, that's a receiver, maybe they go that way. But I think that they can answer receiver well into the third round.
Yeah, and one more position that I think is a sneaky need for them that nobody's talking about is center. Max Unger's not getting any younger. With Senio Calamente going over to Houston, that was a reliable backup that could play any position on the line. I mean, center's kind of a need. They're kind of banking that that Unger's going to stay healthy.
Well, you can usually see offensive linemen play to 33, 34 and still be fine. But to your point, Billy Price, Frank Ragnow, James Daniels are my top 3 centers, and I would be 100% okay with either of those guys. I think all 3 that I've mentioned, I have at least second-round grades on. Because it's a center, they're probably going to fall to the third. Somebody's falling. It might be James Daniels out of Iowa. Maybe Billy Price falls because of the injury he suffered at the combine, even though he should be good to go by training camp. All those guys are there. And I wouldn't be opposed to taking one of those players even early. I mean, if they feel like addressing center/guard is a priority for them, like we talked about 27, if you hear the name Billy Price from Ohio State called, I'm okay with that. That's not a problem for me because, you talked about Teron Armstead. Are you confident, either of you guys here on the show, and I love Teron. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but either you confident that he's played 16-plus games next year?
No.
Okay. Well, that means Pete's sliding out. That means if you drafted a guy like Billy Price, he's starting at some point this year. Senio Clemente started over 60% of the snaps last year for the New Orleans Saints.
Right.
I'm 100% okay if that's the pick and that's what they believe is best value. And, like Tanner said, addressing center is something you need to do because that is the oldest player left on that line of mostly mid-20-year-olds.
Yeah, I can't wait. If they do that, Saints Twitter is going to lose it like they did last year with the Ramczyk pick. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I'm going to be the same way like I was with Ramczyk and Pete. Trust the process. Man.
Oh yeah, those were both great picks.
One of my favorite quotes to come out is probably 2 drafts ago. It's everybody wants the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, but nobody wants to draft it. You've got to draft it if you want to have that type of offensive line. And if you have that type of offensive line, you can have almost any quarterback and running back get behind them and have some level of success. I'm not saying you can turn, Tom Savage into Drew Brees because you have an amazing offensive line, but you are setting that player up, whoever it is, to be successful.
Taysom Hill, baby. Taysom Hill.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Tanner, do you have any other questions for Deuce?
I'd like to ask him after the smoke screens coming out today, who he thinks going at number 1. I've heard Sam Darnold is no longer in the conversation.
I've heard that. And at this point, I'm just going to stick what I've been saying because I don't want to flip-flop. And if I'm wrong, I'm fine with that. I'm still going to say Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's probably the best fit from a mental side of things. And I don't have Sam Darnold as my highest graded quarterback, but there is one area that he probably has the highest marks of, and that's competitive toughness. And we look at grading that and looking at it from an evaluation standpoint. I feel like he could walk into a situation in Cleveland where he's probably going to be a loser early on and not have a problem with it. I feel like he could have problems during games, where he throws 2-3 interceptions and he doesn't care. He's going to keep playing his game for the good or bad, same way that Drew does, same way that Tom Brady does. That type of mental fortitude he has, I feel like that makes him the best option to walk into Cleveland and handle where they're at, because I don't feel that Cleveland's talent from a player standpoint is the problem. I feel like it's the step above the players that's holding them back, and we'll see if Dorsey addresses that next year, but it all depends on how the Browns do right now. I still am going to say Darnold. It's no secret that they have looked at closely everybody. They've looked at Rosen, they've looked at Mayfield, they've looked at Darnold, they've looked at Allen. I'm going to stick with Darnold, but I won't be surprised if it's another quarterback.
Cool deal. All right, buddy. Well, I guess we're going to let you go. I got one last question, though, before we do. Does pineapple go in crawfish?
Oh, wow. You're really going to call out John You're going to subtweet John Hendricks on your podcast. Wow.
I am.
You're going to get kicked off the Canal Street Chronicles writing group. I would say I've never had it. But I'll preface it with this. In Louisiana, we eat a lot of things that most people wouldn't consider eating. I would try it without any inhibitions to see if I liked it. If we're going to eat, boudin, which is, stuffed intestines and things like that, and then have a problem with pineapple, I think that's a problem. I will try it. Now, if it's garbage when I try it, I will tell John Hendricks this is garbage. This is the dumbest idea ever. But I would give it a try, and honestly, I have no problem with it because I think that's part of the beauty of Louisiana is we take those different flavors and we make it our own. So I'd try it.
Yeah, right on. I told him I'm not going to knock it until I try it, and I'm going to try it. But all
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
dudes.
I'm definitely down for a boil that has pineapples in it. For nothing else, that I can wear a Hawaiian shirt to a Louisiana crawfish.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, we sure do appreciate you hopping on with us tonight. And go ahead one more time. Tell them where they can find you at, in case they missed it at the beginning.
Yeah, Rev Deuce Wyndham, RevDeucewindham on Twitter, or just look up Deuce Wyndham on YouTube, or go to Rev Deuce on Twitch. I mean, we've got content coming out basically daily now as we get ready for our live draft show Thursday and Friday. Looking forward to this process getting really paying off for all this months of arguing on Twitter and Facebook. We're finally going to have the draft.
That's it, man. And you still have a couple copies of your draft guide available too for sale, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants access to it, obviously it's kind of dwindling now the closer we get,
Yeah.
but it is $10. Especially if you're a Saints fan or LSU fan, I've got grades on, I think, 7 of the LSU players. Well, I've got grades on all of them, but I've got full-on scouting reports. And then for the Saints, I've actually got every single player that they have, at least that I have been able to confirm, that they've either met with formally or worked out. So that comes in handy because every year we hear, oh, well, they just spent time with this player. It doesn't matter. But if you truly look at every name they take a look at and investigate, you're going to find that they actually draft a high percentage of those players because they're going to talk to, probably about over 100. I've got over 70 in the draft guide, plus the big board, plus the 40-plus scouting reports we have. So it's good stuff. Yep. I like it anyway. Obviously, I'm biased.
Cool deal.
It's my guide.
Well, y'all go check out Deuce. You can find him on online on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Also his stuff on Canal Street Chronicles. All right, and welcome back to the podcast. Man, that was a good interview. That was one of our better draft interviews, I think. Yeah,
he's full of knowledge.
Yeah. Super. So y'all go follow Deuce. Get in touch with him. Man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. The draft is finally here. There's not a whole lot of news going on. I do want to say that Rob Gronkowski came out today, like we expected. He is playing for the Patriots. He plans on coming back next year. Willie Snead got signed by the Baltimore Ravens. That was pretty big. Was there any other news this week?
Brandon Marshall got cut.
Oh yeah, Brandon Marshall got cut from the Giants. So are they in play for Des Bryant?
Oh, they have to be.
Yeah. Curious. Do you think Des Bryant's gonna get signed before the draft?
I know last week I said that he was going to, but I don't think so anymore. I think the teams are going to wait to see how the draft plays out, and then after the draft they can address their roster and see where they still needs where teams still think they need needs at. So if they need a wideout, Des Bryant's obviously the top guy in the market.
Yeah. And then other than that, of course, the with the first round draft picks, you get the coveted 5th-year option. That deadline has come, and teams just all over the league have been. I know the Raiders picked up Amari Coopers. I know the Saints picked up Andres Pete. Did Trey Waynes get picked up for Minnesota?
It hasn't been picked up yet, but it was reported today by one of the Vikings beat writers that it probably will be.
Yeah, I know the Titans picked up Marcus Mariota. So 5th-year options getting picked up all over the place. I really like that they added that into the CBA this go around.
Yeah, I do too. Deadline is next Thursday for those that care.
Yeah, so there's definitely there is a lot of good players in that draft class. So in that 2013 class, so there's going to be more that get it. And then what did you hear? Did you see that? Did you see the rumors floating around that Des Bryant could make a return to Dallas?
No, that's crap.
I agree.
I think I actually read Jerry Jones shut that down, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Already?
Okay. And then, of course, too, the only other big news is we're just really paying attention to the Reuben Foster stuff, and we will report it as soon as we know something. All right, so programming notes just to kind of keep you up to date. So next week we will have our post-draft reaction show. That'll probably that might spill over for the next 2 weeks. We're really going to try to break down all the picks with 32 picks in the first round. Then kind of scatter out throughout the draft, pick the winners and losers. That might take us a couple of weeks, so you can expect some post draft analysis over the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to try to get one of our buddies back on the podcast. So if you liked hearing them, tweet at us which one you like. We'll see if we can't get one of them back to kind of break down the draft. If you're interested in joining the team at All Pro Nation, we're still looking. We're constantly looking to add more content to the radio network. So if you have your podcast or you want to start a podcast, if you want to do some writing on the blog site, whatever it is, we're still looking. Don't forget, go to allpronation.com, donate. The podcast is growing, man. You guys are loving what we're doing, and it's time. We got to reinvest into it. So if you can, $1. Go donate. You can do that at allpronation.com. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and on Facebook, both at allpronation.com. One of our staff writers, Dominic Pfister, put out a mock draft today. Pretty interesting mock draft. Go check that out. Just a lot of cool stuff happening, man. It's a fun time of the year. Fun time of the. This is one of the most anticipated weeks of the year outside of kickoff and Super Bowl. So. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, so
Chris, I think we forgot to talk about something.
What's that?
We're gonna talk about it. Just hash on it a little bit. We got to talk about the schedule release.
Oh, the schedule release. I forgot about it.
You got any games that stand out that you can't wait to watch next year?
Oh.
Don't bring your bias in.
There's one game. I'm
just kidding. You can bring your bias in if you want. I'm gonna do it.
There's one game, and it's October 28th on Halloween.
Sunday Night Football
on Halloween weekend, and the Minnesota Vikings will be dressed up as losers for Halloween this year. Looking forward to it.
Pretty confident about that.
I'm kind of confused about the kickoff game of Atlanta and Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know a lot of Vikings fans are pretty shocked by that.
Yeah, I thought Vikings Eagles was a lock.
To be honest, I'm actually kind of disappointed with it, just because I really wanted to play the Eagles before Carson Wentz maybe had a chance of coming back. I mean, he could still be the starter week 1, but we don't know if he'll be fully healthy or not.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get it out of the way because I know it's going to be one of the tougher games on the schedule. So, it's whatever.
Yeah, so I think that was a shock. I really like how the NFL really tries to put an effort to putting divisional games at the end of the season to keep everything super interesting. I really like that that's another trend that's continued. Of course, we got some freaking Mexico and London games, as always. Bull crap.
I don't have as many London games this year as we did last year.
No, there's only 2, huh?
Yeah, 3, I think.
3. And they're probably going to cut back on the London games now that they've got the Mexico City game, and I think aren't they planning a Tokyo game next year?
I was going to say they're trying to move into China, I think.
Or China,
something over there, Hong Kong.
Yeah, so they may back off London a little bit, but yeah, I like the schedule. I think for the team that I follow, it was a favorable schedule. I didn't see anything that I thought was just completely egregious. I think the main thing was just that kickoff game was kind of a head scratcher. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited to see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers travel to New England and play Tom Brady and the Patriots too. That's going to be a really fun game.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game. So a lot of good games on the schedule. Y'all play y'all got the y'all do got the Packers pretty early in y'all schedule, week 2.
Yeah, I'm glad to get that out of the way.
Yeah,
as soon as we can.
Yeah, one of 2, huh?
We've the past few years, the Vikings have always been traveling to Green Bay in December when it's super freaking cold outside. I know last year it was like 0 degrees outside or something like that. So I'm glad it's in September when it's still warm.
Yeah. So, lot of cool games. But like I said, I really was scratching my head on the kickoff game, but we'll see. We'll see.
It is what it is.
Well,
I'm looking forward to speculating this offseason.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun, man. We got a lot of cool shows. Me and Tanner have already pretty much mapped out the summer. We got a lot of cool shows, so y'all be sure to stay tuned. We're gonna end the show. We got one of our All Pro Nation followers, who said, "Hey, can I get on the podcast? Can I talk a little draft?" We said, "Absolutely." So y'all stick tuned. Y'all pay attention to him because All Pro Nation is where fans have a voice. We believe that, and so that's why if you're a fan and you want to come on the podcast, just reach out to us, man. Just reach out to us. Open invitation because All Pro Nation is for the fans and by the fans. Be sure that you're following us on Twitter at All Pro Nation and on Facebook at All Pro Nation. Be sure that you're following me and Tanner on our personal Twitter pages. You can find me at 318 Chris Smith. You can find him at purple_post. And during the draft, me and Tanner will both be manning the All Pro Nation Twitter account. We'll be throwing some things out. You can also go to allpronation.com. There will be a live feed on allpronation.com so you can keep up with the draft picks. If you're not in front of your TV, go to your favorite sports website and pay attention to it. And be sure, if you want to join the team, reach out to us. If you want to donate, we'd appreciate it. And until next week, we will see you guys then. Have a good night. Peace. All right, and welcome back to the podcast, guys. Now we have one of our followers on All Pro Nation, and his name is Logan Whitson. Logan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, man. So Logan's going to come on, and he just kind of wanted to share some of his thoughts on the NFL draft. So, Logan, how do you kind of see this draft shaking out?
I honestly have no idea. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, it's crazy this year.
This is the first time since Kansas City took Eric Flowers that I can remember all the experts. Like, well, this guy could go, or this guy could go, or that guy could go. But me personally, if I'm John Dorsey, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've got Tyrod Taylor for the next 2 years. So I don't really need Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen or Baker Mayfield or really even Josh Allen, even though he's my favorite quarterback in the draft. So if I'm John Dorsey, I hand in that first overall pick with the name Saquon Barkley written on it. Let the Giants take Sam Darnold or Quentin Nelson, who they really should take to help protect Eli Manning. And then let the Jets take Baker Mayfield if they want to, or Josh Rosen. And then you're sitting pretty at 4 with the second best player in the draft still on your board. And I sprint up to the podium and hand in the number 4 card with the name Bradley Chubb written on it. And I'm a happy man for the night.
Yeah, so you think they're gonna go? You think they're gonna go Barkley then Chubb at 1 and 4?
I don't think that's what they're gonna do. That's what I would do.
Oh, that's what you would do. I hear you, bro.
You have Tyrod Taylor for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's so many quarterbacks in this draft that people just don't give enough love to.
Yeah.
What about Mason Rudolph?
What about Baker Mayfield? You think maybe they could pick him later on in the draft? He's pretty good.
He won't make it. I mean, he's pretty good, but I watched him for 3 years because I went to Oklahoma State, and he didn't blow me away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made some really good throws, but he had some really good wide receivers, especially the last 2 years, and running backs that I personally think made him look better than he is. And yeah, he threw the ball to a wide open receiver, but that's because they had beaten their coverage off the line.
Yeah. Okay. So if you had your way, you would go Barkley at 1, probably go Nelson or Darnold at 2.
I'd go Nelson at 2, Josh Rosen 3, Bradley Chubb at 4, and then if I'm in the Broncos, I'm sitting there happy as can be if I'm John Elway, who all three of us know that hasn't had the best track record with drafting quarterbacks lately.
Yeah.
And you take Sam Darnold and you just sit there and watch what happens.
Yeah. So you think they're gonna you think Denver's gonna go quarterback even though they have Case Keenum?
Yeah, Sam Darnold's not ready yet.
Yeah.
And Case Keenum, God save him. I don't know where he came from, but he saved my Vikings. You know what? After Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Bradford got hurt.
Right.
I think he's a stopgap for a year or two, and then can be a really, really good backup.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you think? So we said Sam Darnold. We said Josh Rosen. Where do you think Baker Mayfield might land?
I think he falls all the way to 11.
Okay.
The Dolphins are in love with that man.
Yeah.
And he is, whether he admits it or not, that's where he wants to be.
And so
Another team that's rumored to be high on Baker Mayfield is the Cardinals. I can see them making a move to trade up and try to grab him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if he falls, they might trade up with Indianapolis is looking to trade back again.
Yeah. Now, what about Lamar Jackson? Where do you think he ends up falling to?
Oh Lord, I love him. I could see him going to the Bills at 12. I could see Mason Rudolph going to the Bills at 22 if they don't take Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I think Arizona's another place that Lamar Jackson could end up.
How do you like him as Tom Brady's successor?
I don't want him in New England.
You don't want him in New England because you don't think he fits there? You don't want him in New England because you don't want New England to go on a run for the next decade again?
Well, that too. But I think if Tom Brady doesn't retire, which I personally think he should because he's set for life and his wife's like, let's retire. And he's like, no, I can still play. I think if he gets drafted to the Patriots, Bill Belichick's going to make him be a wide receiver or a running back, and I just don't think that's fair to him.
Yeah.
He is a quarterback, and that's all he will ever be.
Yeah, I agree. I don't buy into the people wanting to move positions. What about so you mentioned Mason Rudolph. You think Mason Rudolph's actually going to make it in the first round?
I do.
Okay, where do you think?
My dream scenario with him is ending up in Pittsburgh and sitting behind Big Ben for a year or two.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Because
that's who he's been compared to, and while he's a little smaller, I can see it. Both have nice arms. Both are not considered mobile, but can run.
Yeah. Okay, cool deal, man. You have any other final thoughts on the draft? Draft's this Thursday. Where are you watching the draft at?
I'm probably in my house. I was going to try and go to it, but financial reasons didn't allow me to.
Yeah.
I just hope that the Vikings don't trade out of this first round. And I really want to take
You're a Vikings fan, so let me ask you. What do you think the Vikings are going to do? You think they're going to trade down?
I think there's a chance, but I only want it to happen if Isaiah Wynn and Jair Alexander are off the board.
Which I would imagine those two probably will be off the board.
Yeah.
So
I just don't know when it depends on when the run on offensive linemen start.
Yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see. Isaiah Wynn, definitely him and Quentin Nelson, the cream of the crop of the offensive line. I could see Hernandez slip into the Vikings. I think that would be a good pick. Or McGlinchey.
I don't want him.
Yeah.
I mean, I say I don't want him. I don't want him at 30.
Right.
Because while he can plow anybody over in the run game, I think he'll get exposed in the pass game for the first year or two.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's some good takes, man. Well, we sure do appreciate you, Logan, for stopping by the podcast, man. Ever want to come back? Just give us a shout, bud. Thank you, man.
I'm always up to come on.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely bring you back sometime. All right, Logan. Tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter in case anybody wants to interact with you.
My Twitter is at Skull33.
That's cool.
Hashtag path to the draft.
All right. So y'all go check out Logan and interact with him. All right, Logan. Take it easy, man.
You too. Thank
All right,
you.
Later.